Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Nishmas, Mordechai. Shila Malo, is soy Nail Horim, Ayin Yobo Ezri. Ezri Mimadino, Yosei Shumayin Vores. Al Yitain Lamut Raglecha, Al Yonum Shoim Recha. Yinei Lo Yonum V'lo Yishon, Shomer Yisrael. Adinoi Shemrecha, Adinoi Tzilcha, Yad Yaminecha. Yoim Hashemesh Lo Yakekov, Yoreach Ba'aloi Lo. Adinoi Yishmorcha Mikol Ra, Yishmor Es Nafshecha. Adinoi Yishmor Tzischo V'yecha, Mi'atov Yadilom. Achenu kol Beis Yisrael anu suru mitzvah v'shiv yoim din bein bayom ubein bayabo shamokim yirachem alayim v'yitzim mitzvah levachom efei loira u'mishivo legeula hashto bagelov zman koriv v'nuimar omen. Boy say, there's somebody out there who really wants the Olam to be able to have a great chizuk and a time of achdus at the Shabbaton. So he put together. He's a part of the shir. He's been pushing this idea. So I hope he does well. It's a raffle for, I don't know exactly. It's 3 winners, it says here. Win a room. Moshe from Lakewood is doing this. Put this all together. www.Rayze.it.mdy. Rayze.it. MDY. All right. It's for all those who maybe can't afford it. They want to have at least a chance to go. He says you could give Meiser money. That's what he left me a message. It could be done with Meiser money. I guess if you win, then you have to substitute that Meiser. Rabbi Isai, from official catering, put this thing together, and he spent thousands of dollars doing this. This is his own promo for Masechtas Baba Kama. Take a look, Rabbi Isai. It has official written all over it, but it's. My hope is that one day we're going to get to a point where we could do 3D animation. And here's just like a little peek of what it could possibly look like. Here goes. Did I ruin it? Yeah, here we go. Ham Amud. Oops.
Should be higher. Him!
Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Official mitzvah motivators. Anyways, very well done. It's very heartwarming that people take into their own hands, their own initiatives, and just to be mechazik Torah, to bring people to Torah and push Torah. So, again, if you know anybody that wants to join the Baba Kama, it's a brand new Seder, and looking forward. Yishkoyach official, unbelievable. All right, what was your favorite thing? Reb Zalman, what was your favorite from the whole thing? Which animation? You like the baseball thing? I like the goat personally. I thought the goat was great. Each in their own. You're an Amerikanische kid in baseball. Oh. Okay. What else do we have here? David Steinberg was here yesterday. He sat in the back, a young man with a beard. I was at the live show last night for the first time and received tremendous chizuk. You cannot compare listening 3 years, he puts in parentheses, and 3 years, to see. I made a LinkedIn post to promote the shir and hope to be zoic to come to another one soon or something like that. It's a beacon of light for all of us to remove darkness for all of us to remove darkness. David, Shkoyach Gadol. This is a messed up thing. Morty Berger. Regarding checking tefillin, halachically, you do not have to check them if you use them all the time unless something happens to them that makes you think there's an issue. I was thinking, the marshal, when you fly in a plane and sometimes it goes underneath and they make you check your bag and has the tefillin, the compression, the decompression, the different temperatures, that might be a thing. Anyways, mezuzahs, he says, is 2 times in 7 years. But tefillin, only when you think something happens. That's what he writes. And Yosef said he was screaming at the screen when when I was saying it. He's like, of course, everybody knows this. Says this email from Anonymous. Although I do a Rayze, I was inspired by you to give a shir and now learn about 4 hours a day in your schus. That reminds me of that Magid shir from a Rayze, the one in Yiddish, who, because of, I think it was Meaningful People article, he became a Magid shir in a Rayze, and he mamish learns a big part of the day. Here's another person. Again, although I do a Rayze, I learn about 4 hours a day in your schus. I saw your Art Scroll interview. So just for him, it was kedai to do the Art Scroll interview. It was deeply inspired. It's one of those, again, it's one of those podcast things. I was interviewed there by the Art Scroll people. I listened to the daf yesterday and heard you mention about your son. He goes into the and then he says like this, Hashem should open up your son's mind, and everything should be turned to schuyos. And this is, I love this. He'll be greater than you, Bezer Hashem. That's a big bracha. Halavai, Amen, Ken Yirotzain. Wishing you an amazing nachas, the Kiddushin from all your children that you said you love. You never cease to inspire me. Thanks, Anonymous. The Koilel, no. Business Sech is sponsored by Lakewood families like in New Jersey because torah and achdus are the best segula. Parnus, what happened to the Masechta? Did he forget it? What was the Lashon yesterday, just in case he forgot it? The second sponsor of the Masechta was anonymous, just like one line. In Tzchus Klal Yisrael should see good. In case it was forgotten, maybe he took it out on purpose. The Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmas Chai Bas Yosef, Parnas HaChodesh, Hatzlocha L'zechus Yosef Mayer ben Rochel and yidden worldwide. Parnas HaShavua, Nechemia Worcman, Eli Nishmas Peril, Blomã, Bas, Chaim, Ytzchak, Lezecher, Tzaddik Rochel, Eli Nishmas Moshe Chaim ben Yaakov Tzvi, Levi, Rochel, Rochel, the Neshama should have an aliyah. Parnas HaYom, Yosi Farkas, Lezecher, Nishmas, Tzvi ben Yosef. Parnas HaYom, Yaakov Shaindy Siegal, Rafua Shlema, Tzipar Fego, Bas Golda, Rafua Shlema. Parnas HaYom, HaChosn, Yisrael ben Am Yisrael, Hakala, Miriam Dvoyer Bas Esther, wedding is tonight. Should be Zoicha to see a lot of nachas and bring Klal Yisrael nachas, a Bais number Yisrael. The art of the month, Yosef ben Chai Sarah, for all the schusim that come from supporting Limud Torah. And Rabbi Isai, talking about the Shabbaton, it's going to be a gewaldige Shabbos Chizuk. Baruch Hashem, people are getting rooms. Finally, 30 rooms were sold in the last 24 hours. The 3rd floor sold out. So now we're moving, I guess there's other floors, and move up to the 4th, 5th. Thursday night is optional. You can come early, in other words. And for the women, they're doing manicures, pedicures, facials, massages, zachen, just for women. Why? Because it's Shabbos of Akar Satoiv for the women who allow us to learn Neshei MDY or WMDY. So, Rabbi Isai, be mechazik us, be mechazik yourself. Come on, come on. It's kedai. It's a tremendous, it's not stam a Shabbos of eating and singing and dancing. It's a Shabbos of celebrating Torah, a Shabbos of a siyum of half a Shas. Tremendous accomplishment. A siyum on Seder Noshim, siyum on Mesechus Kiddushin. And to hear from YY, from Ari Ben Shushan, and many other great speakers and great entertainment for Kedusha. Rabbi Isai, here we go. We're Daf Amud Beis, Amud Aleph, all the way in the top line. Omar le Abayla Rav Yosef. Says Abayah to his Rebbe Rav Yosef, L'hagisa de Prasad Heicha. When you're looking at, let's see if I, okay, here's the west. I don't want to go too far. Okay. So on the west side of Nahar Pras, how far is Bavel when it comes? We said Bavel has tremendous yichus, so how far west? Omer lei, my daitach. Why are you asking me this question? From Biram, you're worried about Biram. Miachse de Pumbedisa me Biram nasve. Pumbedisa, as we'll see, even when we talk about Pumbedisa, we don't even call it Pumbedisa, we call it Meyuchas. The Goyla, it's the epitome of Yichos. So even the greatest of Pumbedisa, we're speaking about Rav Yehuda, who's Rosh Hashiva in Pumbedisa, they all marry from Biram. You have nothing to worry about. Biram is great. Mark, whoever you are, maybe it's Yosef, you're doing a great job switching screens. I'm just going to get out of it. You do it yourself. We learn Mesechus Gittin, and the Mishnah starts off that when Edom bring a get from Medina Sayyam, they have to say Befanei Nechtav or Befanei Nechtav. People are not familiar with the halachas of the Shema in Chutz La'aretz, but in Eretz Yisrael they're familiar. But of course in Bavel also they're familiar. Bavel is like Eretz Yisrael. But how far north, when you go up the map, how far north is considered Bavel that you don't have to say Befanei Nechtav? Where do you have to start saying Befanei Nechtav? Top of the map, up north. Same achloigis that we had yesterday. Let's see if I can get to it without... Here. Remember, on the top left corner, there's three shittas. Rav, Shmuel, Rabbi Yochanan, Akar, the Tublanki, Gishra is up to the... There's different lines of where Bavel stops. You take a line on the top. Is it this far north, a little bit further north, more... Up to the bridge. It was the bridge over here. The Gemara says, yeah, today it's up here, but now, back then it was lower down. The same borderline for Yuchsin, where people are not mamzerim, that's the same halacha when it comes to Gittin. So if you live above the northern border of Bavel, you must say Befanei Nechtav or Befanei Nechtav. So here's the Arba Tinyana de Gishra. Arba Tinyana is like a place of aravas, of reeds and aravas. The second one. So he's showing over here. But there's a bridge over there, and then there's like two swamps of aravas. There was a maskil that came to the Malbim, the head of the maskilim. He said, I don't understand why you're so into kiruv, rechoikim. How come you're not makar of us, the maskilim? Why do you fight with us like that? So he told them, he says, there's something called an arava. Arava has no flavor, has no smell. You guys are aravas. If you are part of the lulav and the esrig, and so then we take you and we shackle you. But if you're going to make yourself your own group, the group of maskilim, then that's like Hoshana Rabbah when you're aravas by yourselves, and then what we're supposed to do with you, we take you and we smack you on the floor. Omar Rovi Barabba, Chavel Yoma is Tchelte de Bavel, the creme de la creme of Bavel. The Chavel Yoma is the creme, the Tchelis of Bavel. So Tchelis reminds me, well, you know, when you tzitzis is supposed to remind you. When you look at your tzitzis, you look at the tchelas, and it's supposed to remind you of the sky. Then the sky reminds you of the Hashem, the yam, the tchelas. Each thing reminds you of the next thing. So just the word tchelas reminds me of this. Let me see if I can get to it quickly. Here. So somebody sent me this today. It says like this. It could tear you up. Be careful. There's a tissue warning here. Ani Roni Ben Dror. My name is Roni. It's a girl. Bat lepalmachnik. Shelo asa kiddush ma'olam. My father never made kiddush in his life. Mechabeset magdim l'rishona b'chayai. It's the first time I am washing his uniform. Gam tzitziot. Also tzitzis. Mechabeset bocha. Mechabeset bocha. I'm washing them and crying. Shuv aleinu b'shalom chayal and tzitziot. The soldier with tzitzis come back, shani lo makira, who I don't recognize. Yeah, so, It is. Many people took upon themselves new mitzvahs, and they say, okay, Bishleima to send chocolates and more ice creams and Bisley and Bamba and all that stuff. Okay, we understand why you keep on sending that stuff, because they eat it. So you send more and more. But why are you keep on sending tzitzis? And the answer is because you're sending so much chocolate and Bamba, so the sizes change. So they have to keep on sending. Okay. Zog the Gemara. Chavel Yama techelto de Bavel. Shunya veguvia techelto de Chavel Yama. Now, these places called Shunya and Guvia, they're the top of Chavel Yama. Ravina Omar Af Tzitzoira, the place called Tzitzoira, these are the best places, the purest of the pure. Tanya Amachi, Chonam ben Pinchas Omer, Chavel Yama techelto de Bavel. Same thing. Chavel Yama is the best place in Bavel. Shunya veguvia Tzitzoira techelto de Chavel Yama. And within Chavel Yama, there's these little places that are called Shunya Guvia. They're the top of the top. Says Rapapa, forget about what we just said, that they're the purest. No, there's a few kusim in there. And once the kusim are in there, we got a problem. Velohi, says the Gemara, it's not true. It's so the bo menayu velohi havulei. They try to, maybe somebody could ask him to lower it down. Tell him that 20,000 people are going to hear it. Huh? There he goes. Unless he only uses this thing. We'll see. Oh, just a little bit, not too much. Anyways, so we have to see Rashi over here. Says Rashi. Yeah? Okay, excellent. It's the boy menayu. Kusim lo nisarvum. Says Rashi. You see, it's smack in the middle of the page. It's a boy menayu. Kusim lo nisarvum. It's not true that there was kusim there. The reason why they say that kusim got mixed in there is because there's once a kusi that wanted to marry one of the women there. They didn't allow it. Now listen to this part of Rashi. And some say, Rapapa boy menayu. It's Rapapa who's talking here. He's the one that said that don't marry them, because there's a kusim in there. Why? Because he wanted to marry somebody from the city over there. So he was rejected because they didn't give him a shidduch. And therefore he made up a story that they're bad. Says Rashi, how could you say something like that about Rapapa? Now look in Taisus. Taisus did ask, it's a boy minay v'lo yavalei. Says Taisus, v'lo nihir the chasvis shalom. Chasvis shalom sheyalav daita shalois tzadik. Lo yitzilaz aleim shaloi kedin. You tell me Rapapa from the G'dolei Amoraim, famous in all Shas, because they didn't give him a shidduch, she made up a story about a whole city that the kusim. Chas v'shalom says Taisus to say such pshat. Not what's the pshat? The pshat is that the kusi went there, and he wanted to get a shidduch, and they didn't let him. So a shmua came out that this is a city full of kusim. But it's not true. There's a story, I believe, about Reb Shlomo Kluger. But again, I don't remember. Somebody like Reb Shlomo Kluger who went to meet his kala. So he goes to meet the kala, and he sees from a distance, they say that's the kala. And there's like a bowl of dough, and a chicken came and started pecking at the dough. So she kicked the chicken went flying into the wall. And he said, this is not for me. But he didn't want to be mevayisher. So he went to the shul, the whole mice, he went to the shul and pretended that he was stealing from the pushka. And people started screaming, so they ruined the shidduch. And his whole life he said that, Baruch Hashem, that the Chosh Shmi, and like this, I got out of it without embarrassing her. She was trying to embarrass, I needed to get out of the shidduch. Baruch Hashem, I'm out of the shidduch without anything. So it says Taisus over here, you're going to say they're a papa. This is Reb Shlomo Kluger. They're a papa? He's going to embarrass a whole city and call them kusim because he didn't like the fact that they didn't marry? So, no, we don't say that. All right, Zog the Gemara weiter. For those of you who don't know, and call me during shir, like this, my brother, this is not his first time. So I give shir at 8 o'clock in Chicago, b'derech klal. And I'm putting it on here so you could listen to the shir. Baruch Hashem. Okay. V'lohi itza with the boy minay v'lo yahaveli. Zog the Gemara, my chavayama. What's this chavayama that we're saying? It's the creme de la creme. Omer apapazu pras the bursi. This is on the one of the rivers, pras the bursi. Says the Gemara, I come from a place called Shoit Mishoit. It's between the rivers. Now, say it doesn't mean these rivers. If you look in the chart, it doesn't mean the famous Pras and Chidekel, Euphrates and Tigris. It means it's between some of these rivers, the other ones. Because between the rivers, obviously, that's the main part of Bavel. Oh, yeah, he gave up on the share. The main part of Bavel is between the rivers. That's what he said. Says Gemara, so okay, so it's between the rivers. Wherever these rivers are, it's mamish like goyla. What's goyla? As we said yesterday, goyla is pumpadisa. So when most of the people in Golas war, that's where the torah was. So basically, it's the best yuchsan. And where does it exist? The top, like when you go to, I don't know if we have it here on the chart, top of Nahar Pras and above. Ad Mabarta the Gizma. No, there's Yuchsan until Mabarta the Gizma, right? Here, on this chart, right over here, you can see Rabbi Yochanan, this from yesterday. Mabar is the Gizma. He's the bottom sheet on the top left corner. Mabar is the Gizma. So why are you saying that it goes higher up? It's not a higher up. He's the lowest. Rabbi Yochanan is the lowest one on this chart. And he's telling us something that's even more north. Further north. Omar Abayi Ritzu Nafko. So let's see what Yosi did here. Let's see if I can find it here. You see that little, now you see a drawing over there? He's at Mabarta de Gizmo, but there's a little strip of land that comes above that, not on the whole width of Bavel, but a little strip up there that's also has good yichus. Omer Rav Yikubar Oven Omer Chanal Omer Rav Chalzoin, the place called Chalzoin, Nahavan, and the place called Nahavan, Harei Kigoylo Liyuchsin. It's a Lashon Yaakov. I think it's two different places. It's the best of the best. Not the best, but it has good yichus. Don't listen to him. What happened was he happened to get a Yavama. His brother died without children, so his brother's wife, his sister-in-law, felt him liyibam. So that's why he thought in his mind that Chalz and Nahavan, it's all good. It's not true. The Yavama was from there. Okay, so he married the Yavama there. It doesn't mean they have good yichus. You think I made this up myself? The Rav Chananali. This comes from Rav Chananal. They asked him, this is halach the Rav says. Says Gemara, Rav upliga the Rabbi Barakano. Rav is mechulk and Rabbi Barakano. The what? The Chalzon and the Havid have good yichus. Domer Rabbi Barakano. My dechsiv. Vayanchem bachlach ubechover nahar goizen v'orei modoi. That's on Cherev. Took the 10 shvatim, a seres shvatim, and he put them over there. Chalach, chovor, nahar goizen. Chalach, chalozoin, chalzoin. Chovor, zuhu hadayiv. Hadayiv, yeah? Isn't it a city now? Over there in Iraq. Nahar goizem, zu ginzak, or modai, zu chamodon, that's in Iran. Chavrisel. V'amrilo, zu nahavand, v'chavrisel. So you see, these are the cities. Here, Nahavand. That's what we were just talking about. Nahavand, Rav says, is great. Now, we're going to see it's bad. My chavrisel, mishmul. Krach mushchei. Chuske, Berumke, remember this one, Mushche. All those, they married into Goyim. The Seres Shvatim came, they come into Bavel, they put them in all these places, and the Loyalenu, the Jews, married into the Goyim. So the apostle. So why are you telling me there's good yichus over there? Now the Gemara says, so the Mechulik on Rav. Remember yesterday we had Mushkini. I wish I had the other thing. It's hard to... Maybe for yesterday's chart, this chart should have had, Mushkini, all the way on the top. You can barely see it. Top right part of the chart it's basically cut off. It's in purple, mushkini. So that we had yesterday that it's good. It's bichlal. So why are you telling me mushki is bad? It's good. You're right. Mushkine is a nice place. It has good yichus. Mushche without a nun doesn't have good yichus. Two different cities. So the Gemara tells us now there's a pasuk where Daniel has nevuah. And in the nevuah, he talks about utlos ilin bepumei ben chinel. Let me get to this chart. Here it is. There's a bear which resembles Paras, which resembles Iran. And in its mouth it had 3 ribs, resembling 3 cities. These are the 3 cities. Sometimes it swallows the 3 ribs, sometimes it spits it out. Achari is another one. There's another animal, giant animal, Tinyana, second one, Damya Ladoiv, that's similar to a bear. By the way, it doesn't happen in the wild. You don't have a brown bear, or let's say a polar bear, that goes up against a lion. Supposedly, I think the Mevinim say that if it were to happen, a polar bear would kill a lion. They're stronger and feistier than a lion. Azoi Zokman. Okay? Not only that, they also say a tiger is stronger than a lion. But still, Melech HaChayis is the lion. But in terms of pure strength, I believe the bear, or a large bear, is stronger than, they're heavier, they're bigger, stronger paws. Kitzer. Torah of Yosef. Elu parsim shoichlim v'shoisim kedoiv. That the parsim, they eat and they drink like a beer. So if you look it up, you're welcome to look it up. I looked it up for you. If you type in the most expensive meal that ever happened, it says in 1971, the Iranians, they made a meal like no other. They invited 500 people to celebrate, I forgot something with their kingdom. And they spent then $90 million, which is $500 million in our days. That's over $1 million per person in food alone. Just the food. 40 chefs, all the craziest wines in the world. This Gemara right here, the Parsim, the Iranians. Oichlin v'shoisim kedoiv. It says over there that also, they say that that's one of the causes of they toppled the Shah, the thing, because of that. The oilam was upset that you spent so much money on a feast. What's wrong with you? They're heavy like a bear. They're very hairy like a bear, like the lifeguard screaming to a guy. He says, "Hey, you in the pool, take off your sweater." He says, "It's not a sweater. I'm Persian." Okay. Surbalim kedoiv, ve'la menucha kedoiv. They go back and forth. You could tie up a bear, says Rashi, put a leash on him. He'll walk back and forth like the guys in Shul. You know these guys in Shul, back and forth. What exactly they're doing during that, I have no clue. But imagine the whole Shul doing it. No? Hundreds, back, forth. Okay, that gives them the concentration. They didn't take the Ritalin, whatever it is. But a bear is known to go back and forth. You go to the zoo, back and forth. Reb Shimshon Pingle says that once a bear came into somebody's house, and the kid was so scared he started screaming and crying. So the mother tells the kid, "Calm down. It's daddy. It's your father. He dressed up in a Purim costume, and the kid says, He runs over to the bear and he starts hugging the bear. He says, "Daddy, save me from the bear. Save me from the bear." So he says that sometimes like a Baruch who dresses up like a bear, like we saw that what happened 2 weeks ago. Mamish like a bear kills away our brothers and sisters, kills them like a bear. But we have to grab onto the bear and say, "Abba, save us." Rabami kavachazi parso de Rochel, when Rabami would see a Persian on a horse, exactly what's the chiddush? Menachem Mendel Fenster, the Belzer, told me that I forgot what he said. He said there's a Gemara in Shabbos that says that the Parsim, they never move. They're lazy. They eat the food. She says when you finally see a Persian on the move, it's a big chiddush. It's like, oh, duba de naida. This is a mobile beer. Omer Rebbe Levi. Says Rashi, Levi was very good at making mashalim, at explaining things how they are. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, Hareinu Parsim, explain to me, describe to me a Parsi. Omalei doimim l'chayolish b'is David. I think he had a thing here. I don't know what he was trying to depict here exactly. I didn't speak to him after he did it. It was the chayolish b'is David. Something like this. Maybe this is the Parsi, maybe this is chayolish b'is David. I don't know. Let's assume this is the Parsi. Hareini Chabarim. Chabarim, says Rashi, they're worse than anybody. They live next to Persia, and they're terrible. They're mean. They're killers. Doimim lemalachi Chabala. They're like the malachim that destroy. Hareini Yishmaelim. Explain to me what a Yishmaeli looks like. Doimim leseirim shel beis hakisei. By the way, this is in today's parasha. It talks about Yishmael. This week's parasha. They're like the shadim of the bathroom. They dress in black. Doesn't say anything about the green. They dress in black, and the shadim of the Beis Hakisei. Harein Tamid Chachamim. Describe to me what a Talmid Chacham is. Shebebavel. Doimim leMalachi Hasharis. They dress in white, in these white cloaks, and they look like they have wings. They have these long sleeves. They look like malachim. Kaven Eichen Avshei the Rebbe. When Rebbe was on his deathbed, his very last day, he started saying nevuah. The Baal Shem Tov says, like a candle, right before it goes out, it jumps up high. You see it like Rahman al-Islam, if you know people that on their last days, all of a sudden they get a new chizuk, and the whole family's, he's healing, and then. So he says that tzaddikim on the last day, and you see over here, the Rebbe on his last day, he got an extra nevuah, like a koyach nevuah, and maybe I don't know, lahavdil a billion havdalas, but Be'ezer Hashem, that happened 2 weeks ago. It was like a candle coming up, but it's going to extinguish b'mehera b'yameinu. It'll be zero soon. Nafshi the Rebbe. Nafshi the Rebbe, right as the Rebbe was being nifter, Omar, Hoymanya Ike Bavel. He's saying Nevuah, says Rashi. This is Nevuah. There's a city called Imanya in Bavel, Kula Amunoihi. Now Rebbe's in Eretz Yisrael. He has no clue. No clue. He doesn't know. It's not like he walked around in Bavel and he knows that Imanya is this and that. This is Nevuah. There's a city in Bavel called Imanya, Kula Amunoihi. You should know they're all Amoinim. Psulim. Mizgar Yeke Bavel, there's a place called Mizgar Yekulam Adim Mamzeri, that's all Mamzer. Birka Yeke Bavel, Shnei Achim Yesh, in this place called Birka, you should be careful to marry from there. Why? Because there's Mamzerim over there. Why? Yesh, there's two brothers, Yesh, Shemachlifin, the Shesem Zelazah, they switched their wives, so their kids are Mamzerim. Birta de Satya, Yeke Bavel, there's a place called Birta de Satya, Ahu Soroma, what's Pshat Satya? Satya means to swerve off the way. To what? Go off. There's a better word, but okay. To not swerve. That's okay. Sway maybe. Veer from the way. Sway. Saruma. How sorry mokim the akfei peri bekaver b'shapsa. Says Rashi that they had a pond that they were growing fish. They had a fish farm. And they noticed on Shabbos it's overflowing with fish. So they went and they grabbed fish on Shabbos. The over is the Rayze of Tzeda. V'tzadu b'shapsa. V'shamtinu Reb Achai b'Reb Yosi v'shtamud. So the first averi they did was they were Mechal Shabbos. So they put them in Cherem. Once they put them in Cherem, they went off the derech. You put me in Cherem, I have enough with you. There's a story with the Rochel Zaman Auerbach, Ytzchak Levracha. There was a chasher young man that came into him, and Rochel Zaman Auerbach was very, very happy with him and talking to him. So afterwards, when he left, Talmidim, why is Rebbe so excited about this one? She said, this guy came from a very broken family. And one Shabbos, he decided he had enough with Yiddishkeit, he went to the corner of the yeshiva, to the road, and he stuck out his finger and he took a tramp. How do you say tramp? Hitchhiked on Shabbos. And of course, the Bachram from yeshiva saw. He drove a couple hundred feet and it started irking him. His neshama started burning him, and he asked the driver to stop, jumped out of the car, went back to yeshiva. But Bachram had to go to the Mishgiach, and he said, "Tell Mishgiach, this guy's B'chal Shabbos. We just saw him hitchhike on Shabbos." So they threw him out of yeshiva. And Rochel Zaman Auerbach was there, and he sees this guy packing up his bag and leaving. He says, "What are you doing?" He told him the story. So Rochel Zaman Auerbach said, "No, I'm in charge of the yeshiva. I'm the yeshiva. I throw people out, not the Mishgiach. You're going to stay in yeshiva. I'm getting you good chavrusas." You got good chavrusas, says Rochel Zaman, here he is. Here's this younger man, here's this. So sometimes, with this kind of story, I'm not saying that they did something wrong. But what happened over here was that Reb Achai Reb Yoshia put them in Cherem. And this putting, I'm not crying, just something is stuck here. They put him in Cherem, and that caused him to go off the derech. Was it the right thing? I don't know. But the outcome wasn't so gewaldig. Says Gemara, Akra, the Akma Bavel. There's a place called Akra, the Agma says Rebbe, continues with the Nevuah. This all happened, they went off the derech on the day Rebbe was nifter. Adar Barahava Yeshba. There's someone by the name of Adar Barahava Godel Adar. So Rashi says, and it's not the Adar Barahava, it's two Adar Barahavas that we have. Doesn't make sense that he lived so long. Okay. Yeshba Hayoim says Rebbe today. Yoshi B'cheiku Shel Avram. So one pshat in Rashi is today is his bris milah, which also in Parshas Shavua, bris milah. It's kedai, Rabbi. It's kedai to do shnai mikra. Mamish kedai. Hayoim noilad Rav Yehuda b'val. Says Rebbe today that I'm being nifter. Rav Yehuda was born. Domamar. And this Rabbi says kedai to remember this. Very kedai to remember this. It's easy. Kishemeis Rebbe Akiva noilad Rebbe. You could think about Rebbe Akiva, the gadol shugdon, the greatest Tana, maybe one of the second greatest human being that ever lived, or one of the greatest. Rebbe Akiva was nifter that day. Remember this, Noilad Rebbe. It's very easy to remember. When Rebbe Akiva was nifter, that same day Rebbe was born. Rebbe, review that also. Mishameis Rebbe, Noilad Rebbe Yehuda, the famous Rebbe Yehuda. We had the whole sugya with him. He knocked Rav Nachman Yalta, was so scared that he's going to destroy her husband. So the day that Rebbe was nifter, Noilad Rebbe Yehuda. Kishemeis Rebbe Yehuda, Noilad Rava. We can't forget these names. These are the most famous names. The day that Rav Yehuda was nifter, Rava was born. Kishemeis Rava, and when the day Rava was nifter, Noilad Ravashi. Who's Ravashi? The author of the Gemara. Who's Rebbe? The author of the Mishnah. So the day that Rebbe Akiva was nifter, Rebbe was born. The day that Rebbe was nifter, Rav Yehuda was born. The day that Rav Yehuda was nifter, Rava was born. The day that Rava was nifter, Ravashi was born. Inside again. Kishemeis Rav Akiva noilad Rebbe. Kishemeis Rebbe noilad Rav Yehuda. Kishemeis Rav Yehuda noilad Rava. Kishemeis Rav Rava noilad Ravashi. The Lamedcha shein tzadik nifter min oilam ad shenivro tzadik emoisai. Hakadosh Baruch Hu will not let a tzadik leave the world until a tzadik just like him. It says here, a tzadik like him. I don't know exactly how it's possible, because every generation goes down a little bit. It says tzadik emoisai. It should be that today's tzadik is like Rebbe Akiva, because it never went down. Okay, tzaddik. Oh, not exactly like him, but a tzaddik, just like he's a tzaddik, there's a tzaddik in the world. It should say ba hashemesh when the sun goes down, because by yidden it starts by the night. Sun goes down, then sun comes up. But it says fakert because the sun will come up. The tzaddik is born right before the tzaddik is nifter. Actually, kafsa shimshu shel Eli zarcha shimshu Shmuel harmasi. When the nevuah of Eli was extinguished, the nevuah of Shmuel started. Shenemar v'ner lekim ter michbe u'Shmuel shoichev. Shmuel was laying down, and all of a sudden Hashem appeared to him. He heard Hashem. So when the nevuah of Eli was done, ter michbe, it's extinguished. Shmuel shoichev, and then he heard his first nevuah. Begun. Says Gemara Tzvi Hashem Yaakov Shaindy Siegal. This Tzarav, his enemies are everywhere. This is unbelievable, Rabbi Isai. We have to see Rashi inside. This is mamish. It's going to churn your stomach. The enemies that we had in our land in Eretz Yisrael, the terrible Rishonim that bothered us. They were the worst of the worst. Like it says in Sanhedrin, they're terrible neighbors in Yerushalayim. Hear what's going on here. Those Rishonim that bother us in Eretz Yisrael, they're marching in London, in New York, in Chicago, in Australia, all over, says Rashi. And they would bother Klal Yisrael, the Klal Yisrael that went into Golos. They're there again. Shalom Aleichem, here they are. Can't get away from them. I don't think I was more bothered yesterday. In case the Olam is under a rock. Yid he got out of his car because somebody took his flag, so he chased them. Before he knew it, they started beating him up. So he took out his gun and he shot a shot in the ear, and then the cops came and pulled their guns and they pointed at his head, and they arrested him and the whole thing. And whatever happened to my son also, this is interesting because this lady that's on the video, like attacking, harassing my son, later on she's on TV crying that she got pepper sprayed. Okay, but more problems here in Chicago than living in Bet Shemesh. Zog the Gemara. Rav Yudama could go in Humanya, Lepum Nahara. When Klal Yisrael was in Humanya, Lepum Nahara, the goyim are right there. The same goyim are bothering them. Vayikinovi Cheskel says, I had a nevuah. Upaltiyo ben Benoyu mes. This person by the name of Jew, Paltiyo ben Benoyu, he died. Vebel alpon of Ezekol Gadol. And I screamed, Vo'imer aho Hashem Elokim. What did Yecheskel want? Was he upset or happy? Was Paltiyo ben Benoyu a bad person or a good person? Says the Gemara. Rav Shmuel Chadom L'Toiva Chadom L'Ra Machloikis. Man Dom L'Toiva, he was a good person. Kiha the Standro the Meishan Chasne de Nebuchadnezzar. The governor, one of the politicians of Meishan, was the son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar, the famous Nebuchadnezzar. Hava. Come on. Well, you captured all these Jews. You can't send us a little bit of some slaves. We need a couple slaves here. Boy should do Am Yisrael. So he said, okay, I'll give you some of the Jews. So Paltiyo jumps up. No. Us Jews, we're chashav, we're the masters, let us serve you. Va'avden, the Jewish slaves, the lower class, you give your brother-in-law, give them the garbage. Because it's not good that the Klal Yisrael will be slaves to Meishan. So Yecheskel was upset. So he was crying. Chaval that a tzaddik that did such a favor to Klal Yisrael, he tricked Nebuchadnezzar. He should die in half his days. But if the Mandam says he was a bad guy, so here's the picture of the Beis Hamikdash. He came in he flew in to the Beis Hamikdash, and he sees there Benevuah. He sees in the east Hakadmoini Apoina Kadima, which faces east. I see 25 people. Yaznia ben Azur, and this is the one that we're looking for. This is the person. This is the character. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Listen what he did. Sorry. Rabbi, I checked out this chart just for a second. You see this red box? The Heichal is all the way to the right of the chart. The Mizbeach is to the left, in the dash, the red dash thing. So they were in the red box. Beinu ulam la Mizbeach. That's where they were. Their back, El Heichal Hashem upneim kedma. They were facing to the left part of the chart, like I'm on this, facing me, let's say, the way I see myself here on the screen. Facing where it says Ezer Snashim, their head, that's to the east. Their back was towards the Heichal, towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You know what, maybe I could do a control. No. I don't know if this will work. No, it didn't work. Okay. Over here, I don't know if you see my mouse. This is the Kodesh HaKadoshim right over here. Can't see it? Only me. Okay.
Whatever you explain, it's the opposite.
Aha. Anyway, where it says Heichal. Heichal is on the right side of the chart, and the Ezes Nashim is the left side of the chart, and their back was to the Kodesh HaKodashim. Their face was to the entrance where people come in, the Ezes Nashim. But listen to this. If they're facing east, so their back is to the west. So what's the pasuk telling us? They relieve themselves, gdoilim, they remove their clothes and show the rear side to Hashem in a display of complete, I don't know what the word is, like whatever the word is, worse than chutzpah. Just a complete disregard to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to put down Hashem, so to speak. Says Yisrael, something so bad, so grotesque to do to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's going to die peacefully in his bed. The famous story with Rabbi Aaron Kotler, one of the mafia bosses once came into Rabbi Aaron Kotler for whatever reason. He saved some yidden, I don't remember, something in Italy. And Rabbi Aaron Kotler gave him a bracha that he should die peacefully in his bed. He died, I think, 90 or something. And then the mafia's guys came to ask Reb Schneier if they could have a bracha like that. And he said, I can't do it. That's my father, not me. I'll go about him. There's something special about dying peacefully in a bed, not like grotesque misa, which he deserved. This time, the Shmuel the Omer L'Ra. I can prove to you that's Shmuel. Domer Reb Chia Bar Rav and Omer Shmuel Mushkini Arei Kagoy L'Yuchsin Mishon L'Choshu Lo L'Mshum Avdos. So this is the point there. The Mishon, there's no avodim. Now, if you say that he was a good person, why was he good, Paltiya? Because he sent the slaves to Meshon. So why is Shmuel saying that there's no problem of avodim in Meshon? You hear? It says Meshon L'Choshu Lo L'Mshum Avdos, meaning Paltiya never sent the slaves there. Otherwise, there would be a major problem of avodim there. What's the problem over there? Kohanim used to marry divorcees. That was the only issue. Says Gemara, no, it could be Shmuel does agree that Paltiya sent slaves to Meshon. But Shmuel holds they stole these slaves. These were stolen slaves, right? The king stole the slaves from the Jews, and he sent them to Meshon. So, but if you give up on your slave, what's your slave? Hefker. And once you give up your slave, he doesn't need to get shikhr. He's not even a slave. And therefore what? He can marry a yid. So there's no problem of slaves over there. That says over there in the pasuk that if you have a slave, you have to give him a bris milah in order for him to eat a carbon pesach. So the Gemara asks, what if a woman inherited slaves, or she bought slaves, she doesn't have to give a bris milah to her slaves? If a man owns a slave, then he's an eved. But if you don't have full control over him, it's not considered a slave. The rabbim are your mayor, and they say, America, England, Australia, we have good yichus. Says Gemara, let Rav Huna Bar Nosson to marry a woman from Mechayza, which is actually in Bavel, but it's outside of the lines that we said. What was your reasoning? We just said that according to Chachamim, all countries have good yichos. Says Gemara, it's not true. Rav Kana doesn't agree to this. Rav Papa libasnachi and the Rav Papa not. Rav Tzvi libasnachi. So the Gemara all countries do have good yichos. Mishum d'shmilei Rav Zvid d'ben Arda. Says Rashi, there's a different Rav Zvid. He's called Rav Zvid d'ben Arda. He agreed that all countries, according to Chachamim, and that's how we paskin, have good yichos. Tan Rabbanan. Mamzerim nesina tahirim lost lavai. Divrei Rabbi Yosi. Says Rabbi Yosi, mamzerim that are mixed into Klal Yisrael. Because we're going to come do a big favor to Klal Yisrael. Imagine if there's one mamzer 40 generations ago, we're all messed up. We're all mamzerim. Imagine comes Mashiach says, "Oh, all you guys from Chicago, Arois, you're all. How do we get out of this? You can't get out of mamzerus." So but it's a chesed that Baruch Hu does. Says Rabbi Yosi, he's going to be metired all the mamzer. Remeir Oimer ain't toirim. Says Remeir, no, not true. Omer Rabbi Yosi v'aloik v'nemar. Says in the pasuk Haim toirim metartem. Hakadosh Baruch Hu the Mashiach is going to come, sprinkle some water on us and make us tar. Omer Remeir kshoimer mekol tom yisechem mekol glulechem all your tumas all your gelulim avedizara. V'loim mamzeres doesn't say anywhere in the pasuk he's going to be metired from mamzeres. But check out the pasuk. It says in the pasuk, so what's the kef of lashon atar eschem? I'm going to make you tar. You ready tar? Comes to say that a special tahara for mamzerim. Bishlam Meir and Chsiv v'yoshav mamzer b'Ashdod. If there's mamzerim still around when Mashiach comes, I can understand there's mamzerim in Ashdod. I never heard this, but people say that if you told Reb Chaim Kanievsky that you're from Ashdod, he'd say, "Are you a mamzer?" So people like, what? But he wanted to see if you know the Gemara. It says, or the pasuk, Yosher mamzer b'Ashdod. That's why you guys are shocked. So that's why I don't believe it but that kach shamati. El Rabbi Yosi, my Yosher mamzer b'Ashdod. Targum Rabbi Yosef, he said it like in a Leitzonos kind of thing, just to test people. Targum Rabbi Yosef, Yasser Beis Yisrael, L'ruchtzon ba'aroin. They would sit in their land peacefully and securely. That's everybody's hope and wish. Says the Gemara, no. It doesn't mean that literally it's going to be mamzer. But just like a mamzer is a stranger, so Klal Yisrael is going to sit in their land. You're going to look like a stranger. The Ashdod was just like you. It looked like you were a stranger. Now you're going to sit there in peace and tranquility. That when Mashiach comes, Baruch Hashem, he's going to retire Klal Yisrael from all the mamzerim. Or Rav Yosef, Ilav Domer, Rav Yehuda, Omer Shmuel, Alach Rabbi Yosi. Have a Osi Eliyo. If not that the Alach is like Rabbi Yosi, when Eliyahu Navi comes, Mapik Minon Tzavroni Koilarin, you'd have to take people out with chains. Millions of yidden. Who knows how many are? I'm saying if you go all the way back and everybody has a little bit of mamzeres in them, then we're in big tzaras. Rabbi Sai. Oh, hold on. There's a Taisis in Zvachim, Daf Memhei. Top Taisis, if you look at it, I looked inside. Top Taisis. Taisis says, why do you have to say something that's not neged to us? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the gula, he's gonna. Why is it neged to us? A lot of times the Gemara says, if it's not neged to us, why do we care? So Taisis says over there, it is neged to us, because if you have a suffix on somebody, don't say anything, because at the end of the day, when Mashiach comes, they're going to be tar, and don't make a big deal out of it. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.